Welcome back to Big Movie Mouth Off. I hope you enjoyed those interviews. Now it is time to interview, well, it's the ladies of Star Wars.
It's ladies' night.
It's like, and the feeling's right. Star Wars The Force Awakens, Lupita Nyong'o, Daisy Ridley, and Gwendoline Christie. Amazing interviews. Lovely to meet them. Enjoy the interviews. Star Wars The Force Awakens.
It's very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Now, I know very little about your character. I know that you play a pirate, and we know that Han Solo is a pirate. And I was going to see if there's any relationship there, but something tells me you can't say anything.
I cannot. You are right.
Seems like that's probably your answer all day today, I would assume. So let's get into more of the technical aspect of it. You got to work with one of the greatest motion cap actors, Andy Serkis. What was it like working with him?
Andy is such a generous artist, and I was really honored to be in a film with him and to have him to kind of mentor me into this world of motion capture. He gave me some solid advice when I began, and the advice was go about creating this character as you would any other character. It's actually, motion capture is just an extra challenge because you're not in hair, you're not in makeup, and you're not in costume. You have to imagine those things. But other than that, the work is the same, and that was very grounding.
You were absolutely brilliant in 12 Years a Slave.
Thank you.
Do you think that motion capture technology today can capture that type of brilliance?
I think all you have to do is like watch Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And then it's a sealed deal.
Yeah.
Because it's like phenomenal what is possible.
Yeah.
With motion capture.
I spoke with Andy actually last year for when he was in The Hobbit, and I asked him how long do you think it would be until a performance gets an Oscar nomination for motion cap, and he thinks 4 years. So now we're down to 3. Would you agree with that, or?
I don't see why not. I mean, I think at the end of the day, what Andy Serkis is able to do is like spellbinding to create these such specific creatures. That they move you like any other character would. I mean, I have no doubt.
Since your answer today mostly is I can't talk about that, does having to keep a secret like this, does it excite you or is it more annoying?
It's so exciting. It's so much fun. I feel so good.
Looking back to the original trilogy, is there a scene that is one of your favorites that first come to mind?
It's a scene where R2-D2 and C-3PO argue, and C-3PO sends R2-D2 away. Anyway, they split up and they're in the desert and they're going in separate directions. And for me, it was just such a beautiful and yet sad moment where you know these two are going to end up back together. And you yearn for them to be back together because you know they really do like each other and they love each other.
Right.
It reminded me of my siblings.
Is there one specific question that people do ask you that you can't answer?
They ask me what is Maz's personality.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This franchise is near and dear to my heart because the first film I ever saw in a theater was Return of the Jedi. What was the first film you ever saw in a theater, and do you still love it?
Wow. Wow. What's the film I saw in the theater? Oh, it might have been Sound of Music.
That's a good one.
And I still really love it.
Of course, it's a great film. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
I've first-handedly seen little girls lose their minds finding out that the new hero is a female.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel as an actress, and also about the times that we're living in?
It makes me feel really nice. Like, there was a little girl where I was last night, and I asked her if she was interested in seeing the film. She was like, yeah. And obviously she doesn't, girls of that age, the girls that kind of need role models like Rey, I guess, aren't so aware of what it is they need and what it is they're lacking perhaps in films they watch. So to kind of be on the outside looking in and imagining what she might feel when she comes out the cinema is an incredible thing.
What is the question that is most asked of you that you cannot answer yet?
Who are my parents? My mum's like, I'm your mum.
Is it a mind trip walking into almost every store around the world and seeing yourself?
Well, it's weird because I seem to have missed everything. Like,
Really?
people keep messaging me stuff and I'm like, oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah, sure. But I've kind of missed it. But coming to LA is like
Different time?
crazy because there's billboards and
Yeah.
things like that I haven't really seen.
I've walked into like a Bed Bath & Beyond and like there's
Really?
there you are, and I'm like
Nice.
everywhere, absolutely
Nice.
everywhere. Do you have a favorite scene from any of the previous Star Wars films?
Luke saying goodbye to his father,
Oh, it's good.
coupled with the Ewok party, I just find that kind of contrast weirdly touching.
The first film I ever saw in a movie theater when I was a kid was Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
And so this franchise is near and dear to my heart. Do you remember what film was the first film you ever saw in a theater?
Oh, Well, I can't remember in living memory, but I do know that I went to see Lion King when I was little, and apparently I turned to everyone I was with halfway through and went, "I've got tights on." They were like, "Brilliant." So I was like 2 or 3.
Awesome. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Can you please tell me who would win in an arm wrestling match, Brianna Tarth or Captain Phasma?
That's a difficult question to answer, but I do think that if they were to come together, they could probably take over the world.
I think they could probably take on the galaxy.
Oh, the galaxy, that's even better. Yeah, definitely.
whole
Yeah,
point.
why stop at the world? The galaxy.
Right.
What about the universe?
Everything.
The universe.
I'm for it. I'm going to vote for that on election
Okay,
day.
yeah, I will do too.
I've personally seen little girls lose their minds when they find out that Captain Phasma is actually a female. How does that make you feel as an actress where we are in the world today?
I'm overjoyed.
Yeah.
And it means a lot to me to be playing this kind of part. I think Star Wars, they've been incredibly smart in recognizing that what people want is a more diverse representation of society and consequently a more realistic one. Yeah. And I love that I'm playing this part, and I feel so lucky that I'm playing a character where we relate to her due to her actions rather than primarily how she has been made in flesh. Mm-hmm. And I'm very, very proud to be playing that part.
That kind of brings me to another question. I love how the armor, it's not genderfied. It's just armor. You know, mm-hmm. I think that's great. Were you involved in any of that process of, making it the way that it is?
I wish I could say that I was, but I'm afraid that is down to the genius of Michael Kaplan, mm-hmm. JJ, and Kathleen Kennedy,
sure.
and everyone involved in that creative process. But I was so heartened when I saw the costume, when I saw that that was the case, because it indicated to me a progression.
Yep.
And that Star Wars is something that we've all loved so much. And the marriage of that with truly progressive and modern choices is so exciting and heartening to me.
Do you have a favorite scene from the previous films?
I cannot help but love the moment where Han Solo says to Princess Leia says to Han Solo, "I love you," and he says, "I know."
Which I heard was improv.
I heard it was too.
I'm going to ask Harrison. I'm going to ask if it's
do
true.
ask him.
See if he'll tell the truth. This film is the franchise is near and dear to my heart because Return of the Jedi was the first film I ever saw in the theaters. Do you remember what film you first saw in the theaters, and do you still love it?
I think it was Dumbo.
That's a good one.
I think it was.
You have to love Dumbo still, though.
Of course, what's not to love about Dumbo? Yeah. But I was very upset about the sadness in the movie and almost inconsolable.
Yeah.
I think I said something along the lines of, "Why have you brought me to see this when it's so sad?"
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure
Thank
meeting you.
you.